Hello, everybody. How are you guys doing on today? I am super duper excited because guess who's back at the cafe to come back and hang out with us again? It is author Carey, guys. She is back with us at the cafe. If you remember, a little earlier in the year, she came and hung out with us with her new release, The Paris Maid. Now, guys, she has another one for us, and it's the start of a new series, An Italian Secret. I am super duper excited about that. And Ella, Carey, I definitely want you to do the honors of introducing yourself to the people, my friend.
Hello, Angela. Thank you for having me again today. And thank you, everyone, for coming along and helping me celebrate the launch of this novel. So I am a author. This is my 12th novel, An Italian Secret. My books are set in Europe. They are historical fiction. I write a lot of dual narratives, so stories where people are trying to find out, maybe what happened in the past or something to do with their family. Often people from the US finding out about their heritage in America. So I'm delighted. This is An Italian Secret, my latest novel.
I love that. I love that. And again, thank all of you for joining us. You already know what to do here at the cafe. Like, tag, and share. Tell a friend to come on down to the cafe because there will be a little bit of tea spilling hanging out with author Ella Carey and her new release. And guys, guess what? If you still need to pre-order, if you are here in the US, guess what? It comes out tomorrow, September 22nd. But if you are in the UK, guess what? Today is the day. It is live and in color. So I love that. I love that. And Ella, thank you for hanging out with us and sharing the release of this new story. And they are coming on in, showing us some love. We have Ola Lawson hanging out with us today. Hello, Ola. Thank you for hanging out with us. We have Mama Tony Bonita of Mama Tony's Book Nook hanging out with us. Caitlin Wara hanging out with us. Myra Cook. Thank you guys so much for joining us on today as well. Now, Ella, I was found out that this is actually the start of a new series, and this particular series or what have you. Can you tell us a little bit about what inspired this series, this new series?
Yeah,
and it's the Daughters of Italy. Is that correct?
It's going
Is
to
that
be
the name of the
Daughters of
series?
Italy. That's right. It's the Daughters of Italy series. So I'm writing the second book right now. My books are
Oh,
always inspired by several things. I think one was my editor suggested we write a series of novels set in Italy, which immediately I just said, yes, fantastic, food and beautiful landscape and amazing culture. And
yes.
I'm there, I'm going, that's fine. That was done. So it was really, as is often with my books, it was the setting that started me off. The other thing that happened that was really interesting, particularly with this first book, was my father was actually in the Second World War, and
Oh,
so he flew planes over France for the French Resistance and dropped parachutists down to help in the French Resistance. So we found his war diaries, and I've been reading them. My sister has them interstate, but what I found was someone has gone through and cut out these great sections of his diaries. And so that inspired part of this first novel, An Italian Secret. That happens. I thought, I've got to do, like, what? But I think it was my mum. I think it was my mother, because I think it was his love story with her, and she's gone
oh,
through and snipped
wow.
it out for privacy. I know, before she died. So yeah, so I was born. They were, late middle age when I was born. So for me, again, it's this chance to kind of find out a little bit more about their era, what they lived in, and so forth too.
Wow, wow. And guys, she is spilling a little bit of tea about what inspired the series as well as what inspired An Italian Secret. And guys, if you are just joining us, Ella Carey is back at the cafe, guys, because she has a new novel. And not only is it a new novel, guys, it's a new series. And she shared with us that this is the Daughters of Italy series, and An Italian Secret is the first book in the series. Now, Ella, you gotta spill a little bit of tea for us. Okay, Tell us about this title, An Italian Secret. And of course, guys, once you read the book, you will definitely know An Italian Secret. Was this the original working title, or the title changed as you was working on this great book?
So my editor made up this title. She came up with a title which I completely adored. I can't even remember what I worked on. Isn't that strange? I don't think I had necessarily a working title for the book. It was really the story that came to me because my publisher actually do create the titles, which is lovely. Isn't that interesting? I don't remember, because I do remember with the Paris Maid, the original title was The Dressmaker's Daughter, and then we changed it to The Paris Maid. This one, she just came up with Italian Secret. The whole way I was working on it, it was just book 12, which is unusual. Usually, yeah.
Okay, look, Ella, that's a little bit of tea that, while you was working on it, it was book 12, and then The Italian Secret became the title, and voila.
Yeah, which I love. Yeah.
Yes, I love that. I love that. And Jennifer said that she loved your accent. And for guys, I feel honored because actually Ella is coming, hanging out with us all the way from Australia on today. And we are super duper excited about that. Now, Ella, of course, I love your covers of your book. And I want for you to share a little bit about this cover, because again, it does kind of look a little suspenseful and a little secretive, like, okay, ooh. And it's like, even when you kind of like look out, of course, guys, this is a historical fiction. It is also World War II. It's like a dual timeline, like 1940s Tuscany, and then like present day Tuscany as well. But what can you tell us about this cover of An Italian Secret?
So the cover, I just love, they've done a beautiful job here. So
yeah, and the colors in it.
Yeah, we've got this beautiful villa here, which and the book features a villa, the Villa Rosa
Yes.
Set is really important to me in my novels. We've got a little hint of what was going on in that summer of 1944 when part of the novel was set, because we have the two World War II planes flying
Yes.
overhead, and at that time in the book, the Allies were heavily bombing northern Italy because the Germans had kind of set up a puppet government in northern Italy, and the Allies were kind of coming up through the south of Italy. So we've got these constant bombing raids going, and the Allies planes flying overhead. So I love that detail. We have a beautiful woman walking up towards this villa, and we love that because this could either be two of the leading ladies in the 1940s, Cara or Evelina Messina, who's the Contessa who lives at the villa, who's my wonderful enigmatic character who, and I'll give you a little bit of a spoiler, features in book 2 as well. We're doing different locations in Italy, another beautiful location in Italy.
Wow.
It's me armchair traveling, Angela. This is what, but also learning a lot. So yeah, I love the cover. I love the detail with the little tangled vines, because in the present story, the garden's completely overgrown when Annie arrives and it's been abandoned. So that little bit of detail with these tangled thick vines and ivy growing over the garden, and this kind of little bit of a wild look to the garden is beautiful. And I love the sky, what they've done there with the sky.
Yeah.
So
and one thing that I've noticed with a lot of the amazing historical fiction covers is that the attention to details before the covers, it's all about the details. And a lot of times, sometimes the details in the covers is kind of like clues of what you will see about the story as well. So yeah, I love that. Yes, guys, if you are just joining us, we are hanging out with author Ella Carey on today, guys. Her new release, An Italian Secret. If you are in the U.S., you can definitely still pre-order and get in on it. It will be live in color on tomorrow, September 22nd. If you're in the U.K., it is live and in color now as well. And we will be sharing with you how you can get your hands on a copy of An Italian Secret. And as we said, this is a new series series, the Daughters of Italy series. Now, Ella, I want to ask you this because usually, you know, a lot of your books take place in Paris and has Paris as a backdrop, but now we are in Tuscany, okay? And so for you, what was the research like for this story?
So I read a lot for this. I also tend to go on to look at old YouTube videos of Italy at that time. That's a big thing I can do from here in Australia. I've been to Tuscany, I've been to Florence, and so it's one of my it's a place that's very close to my heart for some reason. I've always loved it. And so for me, this was just a complete passion project. Being able to set a novel there was just wonderful. So I was able to draw on a lot of books that I actually had at home. For example, there's a really famous memoir written by Frances Mays, and she was American and she went to Tuscany in the 1990s and restored this beautiful old villa. So I had a lot of her books, and she's written coffee table books. I've got them here, so I was able to get those out and just lose myself in those photographs. One of my favorite films ever is A Room with a View, which came out when I was a teenager, and it's based on a novel by E.M. Forster. I'm a bit of a tragic romantic. I think I watched it 20 times. You know, it's ridiculous. So I was able I tapped into that beautiful, languid Tuscan setting through that. So it was drawing inspiration from past literature, films, reading. I read several books about the war in Tuscany and what those people went through, which was a huge learning curve for me. Because I think, you know, it's interesting here in Melbourne, we have a huge Italian community. We take for granted this wonderful Italian food, and there were a lot of migrants who had to leave after the war. It was just awful what happened. So that, to me, I think it was a bit like the Paris Maid in terms of what happened in Paris. It really opened my eyes as to what they really went through and why they had to leave, and why you have this huge diaspora of Italian migrants that were basically forced out after the war. After it was just terrible. So that was really moving and interesting. So I read several first-hand accounts, diaries, and also looked at books that were actually, you know, historical fiction, factual books. And a lot of photographs inspire me as well. So I'll get on, and I'll also get into with the scenes in Cortona. I get on Google Maps. You know, you can go right around and you get the feel. You can see so much detail these days doing that.
Oh,
So
wow.
it's always a combination, from the heart, from looking at facts and so forth.
Yeah. Wow. Well, thank you for sharing your research for us. Now, Ella, can you spill a little bit of tea? Okay, in your writing, and when you're in your writing cave, and again, like I said, this is the beginning of a new series or what have you. Are you more? And it's going to be like a two-part question. Are you more of a plotter or are you more of a pantser? And then because you are creating a whole nother, you know, world or what have you, do you kind of map it out? Do you have pictures that you use? Do you have music in the background? Tell us what that process was like of birthing this new series.
So it was really interesting. I'm a plotter who becomes a pantser during the writing process. So I do
Okay,
have I
that's
had quite
interesting.
a different yeah, I always had this idea, this plan. And my editor and I usually work to a 5-act structure. So I'll know those main turning points. We work them out together.
Okay.
But with this book, it there was going to be another character. So here's a spill of tea in the
Oh,
contemporary storyline, and no, in the past storyline. And but we cut him after the first round of structural edits, and we because editing is very much about, you know, revealing that beautiful house underneath and getting rid of all your scaffolding and just letting that
yeah.
story shine through. So there was cutting, and we kind of distilled it down. But to answer your first part of your question, yeah, I'll usually start with an idea of the shape of the story. I don't know every individual scene. I just write and it just goes. But then things do change. I love to have a twist in all my novels. That's something I really love. I do not find
Okay.
those twists I don't usually come up with them until I've written the first draft, or and it always happens when I'm just out walking my dogs, and I'll think, of course, that's it. That's what,
Oh,
and I can come up with
guys,
them. I
Ella
love my
is spilling
twists.
some tea.
In terms of my
I
writing
love
process,
that.
I like quiet. I don't have music going. I can't. I just need to have quiet. So that's how I work. I actually the other secret I'll tell you is I actually dictated the first draft of this novel and the Paris Maid because I've got a arm injury. So didn't type it. When I was editing, I did a little bit of typing, but so it was really interesting. It was such a beautiful novel to write. I would get up in the morning when I was really just out of that dream state, take my laptop into bed, I'd put on the dictation software, and I just talk it out. And this, like telling you a story,
Oh,
because I can tell you a story all day. And so I would dictate, and I get like
wow.
3,000 words done before 9 o'clock in the morning, and then I could go back and edit it. I could move around the house and dictate. I didn't have to sit, which I think is very good for your back, for everything else. And then sat down. So I found that worked beautifully, and it was just such an escape. The writing this first draft of this novel was beautiful. It was just like going to Italy. This wonderful experience for me after I'd done all this research, just to discover my characters and find that story. So it was a bit of a
Wow,
different
Ella, that
process.
is like a
Yeah,
super cool, like fun fact about your first draft
yeah.
of this book, as well as the Paris Maid. That is super cool. Oh my goodness. I love that. I love that. Guys, if you're just joining us, we're hanging out with Ella Carey on today, guys. Her latest release coming soon, live and in color, an Italian secret, guys. And we will definitely be sharing with you of how you can get your hands on a copy of this amazing, amazing story. And of course, as you've seen, it's available in ebook, which I'm showing, also in print, which Ella Carey was holding up as well. I love it. I love it. And of course, guys, if you have a question or a comment for Ella Carey, put it in the comment section. We'll be sure to include you as well. Now, Ella, I know they want to know a little bit about the characters that make up an Italian secret. So let's talk about them for a little bit. And of course, you mentioned a little bit earlier. One of the characters is Contessa Messina. Can you share a little bit about her character? And if you kind of had to describe her for the people, what would you say about Contessa?
Oh, she's mercurial. She's wonderful. I love her. She's a very complex woman. So she's beautiful. She's in her 40s, but very, she has sort of blonde, wavy hair and green eyes, and very sophisticated. She grew up in Venice, in a palazzo in Venice, and married Arturo Messina, who was the heir to this beautiful villa in Tuscany. But when he dies, so he died in 1935, and she was left with 47 farms, with the whole business to run of his estate, which was kind of unthinkable for a woman back in the 1940s. So the novel opens in
Right. Yeah.
1934, and Evelyn has been beautifully just running this. She's an amazing businesswoman, managing the whole estate and looking after the people in her village and all around her. But the Nazis came in a year ago and invaded Tuscany, so they were living under Nazi occupation. So and this is where she's a complex character. She decided, rather than resisting and fighting against the Nazis, she would not do that, and that she would actually protect the people that are depending on her for food and so forth and support, because if she resisted, she was worried there'd be terrible reprisals, which was happening. So she was playing this kind of
Right.
dangerous game. And into the book, she starts having an affair with a Nazi. Now, but we don't know why. We don't know what's going on. And so she's a very sophisticated, very enigmatic character that nobody really understands, I don't think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I loved her, and I
Guys,
hope you
as
will
you can
too.
see, yes, you're gonna definitely want to meet Contessa Evelina Messina. Okay, I love that. I love that. Now look, and Tiffany said, wow. Yep, Tiffany. Yes, she was playing a dangerous game. Okay.
Mhm.
I love that. I love that. Now let's talk a little bit about Annie Reynolds. What can you tell us about her character?
So Annie is living in San Francisco. She is a caterer. She's got her own catering business. It's in the present day. And her beloved dad, her father, dies at the beginning of the book. And she's always been really close to him because he raised her. So her mother died when she was young. And he lives down in Carmel by the sea. He was an architect, had this beautiful house overlooking the sea. But after he dies, he leaves her a letter. And in that letter, he tells her that she was adopted and that
Mhm,
she's actually Italian. And
mhm.
in the letter are two brass keys, a smaller brass key and a big brass key. And he tells her that she has inherited this beautiful Villa Rosa in Tuscany. And she's obviously trying to, this comes, hours after he's died. She's grieving, she's in an absolute state. And so she decides she will go to Tuscany and find out what on earth is going on. Was Oscar really her father? Was her mum her mum? Like, what's going on? So she goes to
Yeah.
Tuscany to this estate. So that's Annie. So she's my beautiful character. But what's interesting is she realizes all her cooking is Italian cooking, and she grows Italian herbs on her pots and on her balcony,
Yeah.
and so this starting to kind of make sense that she felt this close connection. So I think that happens with a lot of us who are in, say, Australia or wherever we are. We've been, dispersed. You have this affinity to the country that your ancestors were from. So she goes to Tuscany to find out what's going on. So that's Annie.
I love that. I love that. And guys, if you're just joining us, we are hanging out with Ella Carey on today, guys. Her latest release, An Italian Secret, is what we are talking about. And yes, hold on. She will be reading a little snippet for us today. But before she reads that snippet, I want to talk about this. If you have a copy of the book, one of the things that's said about this book is that it's utterly gripping and heartbreaking World War II and historical fiction book. Ella, can you tell us a little bit about that? That's what they were saying, that this is an utterly gripping and heartbreaking World War II and historical fiction novel. What can you say about that?
Yeah, so the World War II story in Tuscany is completely heartbreaking. So they had lived under Mussolini for 20 years. So they'd lived under this very repressive dictatorship, and he was very structured in terms of class system and women, where their place was. It was just very tough. So in 1943, he is deposed by the king. In the middle of 1943, and people were celebrating, and a lot of people in the streets. But a lot of the upper classes, the aristocracy in Italy supported Mussolini and thought, he'll come back. This isn't the end. So in 1940, but then what happens is Hitler decides, well, no, I'm not having that, because Italy decided to swap sides in the middle of the war. So they were supporting the Nazis. So Mussolini was in support with Hitler, but the Italians swapped sides. So Hitler decides to invade Italy, and he sets up Mussolini as a puppet leader in northern Italy. So these poor people in Tuscany are suddenly the Nazis come in and they're living under them, and they're walking through the markets, taking food from the stalls. The people are starving. It was horrendous. And what you had, but in Italy, as in France, there was a resistance. So a lot of people formed these partisan cells and used a lot of guerrilla war type tactics to try and resist the Nazis, to blow up railway lines, they hid out in the forests, and they formed armed bands. And a lot of women were also involved in this and took on some of the most dangerous missions. So one of those was to be a staffette, which was a courier. So in my historical story, Evelina's secretary, Cara, becomes a staffette. So she helps the partisans by transporting explosives to sites where the partisans were going to blow up Nazi strongholds. And so she's riding her bike with literally, these women did this with literally, a cachet of dynamite in the basket of the bike. and taking it to these sites
Wow.
where the Nazis were going to, and then depositing it for them, right under the noses of the Nazis. So she had to ride through Tuscany. There were,
Wow.
if she was caught, she would have been tortured and killed or sent to a concentration camp. So she's taking this huge risk.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is a tragic part of the story. It's you can't avoid that, and atrocities that happen. So when they were caught, the partisans were caught, the Nazis, it was just awful. They were slaughtering entire villages of people and, lining people up against the wall and just shooting them. And they said for every Nazi that was killed, they would kill 10 Italians. So it was brutal. It was
Wow.
awful. So that is that heartbreaking story, which I discovered. Yeah.
Wow.
So
Wow. And guys, I know you are ready. I'm going to allow Ella to set up the scene of what she's going to share with us. She's going to give us a short snippet of an Italian secret. I know you guys, after hearing all that, you're probably on the edge of your seat, ready for her. So Ella, we are ready when you are. I'll let you set up the scene and then you can start reading a short snippet for us.
So I'm going to read a little snippet from the contemporary story, Annie's story, when she first arrives at the Villa Rosa. So she's inherited this beautiful villa, but when she gets there, it's abandoned and it's been completely locked up and the garden's all decrepit. So I'm going to give you the description of her arrival. The gates to the Villa Rosa were made of rusty wrought iron. A deep red patina was layered over the original black, and a series of flowers were embedded in the design, formed delicately out of intricate iron lacework. There were tulips, daffodils, pansies, and winsome irises. Annie traced her finger over the rough surface. Someone had once loved this place. These details were not only timeless, but still charming today. She had walked up the hill from the notary's office in the village to the villa, out through the old village gates, following the steep road that afforded a stunning vista of the green valley below. She frowned, looking for some evidence that the keys that she had tucked away in her handbag were going to be of use. But the gate was already slightly open. Annie placed the larger key into the keyhole and it fit perfectly. But because the gate was ajar, she reached for the rusted handle and pushed it open with her hand. The gate gave way with a loud creak and she was in. Annie stood at the base of the steep hill. The garden had been arranged into a series of terraces. The bottom terrace held olive trees, their leaves silvery and soft against the eggshell blue sky. Small, hard buds of ripening fruit sat on the branches, and on the next terrace there was a wide orchard. Annie placed her hands on her hips and looked up at apricots, apples, and cherry trees. How wonderful! Were she to stay here, she would bottle them. She shook her head. She must not think in that way. Dry stone walls tangled with ivy separated one level of the terraced hillside from the next. And above the orchard, she peered up at a huge stone pagoda covered by tiny climbing roses. And then there was the villa. Annie shaded her eyes against the pale rays of sunlight that beamed onto the pink and apricot facade of the gorgeous old building. There were 4 sets of French doors on the first floor and faded green shutters, and then this pattern was repeated on the second floor. The windows, even from here, were clearly aged and dusty, and yet they still turned their smiling faces toward the sun. Was this really all hers? The villa was like something out of a fairy tale. There had to be a good reason for this stunning house to have been left alone for so long.
Wow. Now, Ella, and thank you for sharing that snippet. I want to ask you this question because it's almost like the Villa Rosa is like a character in itself in this story. What can you tell us about the Villa Rosa and the importance of it for this story?
Oh, it's everything. I just love old houses. I love that you take me somewhere evocative with history, and I feel it so strongly. So I have a very emotional connection to this house, as I would a character. It stands on a hill below Cortona, and there's a beautiful little village below it. It has been in the Messina family for a very long time. But after the war, we have tragedy, and we don't know what happened there and why it's abandoned and it's sat there empty. And so Annie's really got to uncover this. It's just beautiful inside. When she goes inside, um, there's still Contessa Evelina's office where Cara, her secretary, worked, with the antique desk overlooking the garden. There is, she walks through into the next room. There's a beautiful sitting room, and then there's this room that gives her the complete creeps as well. So she feels like maybe something happened in that room, and it was an old stable. They
Mhm.
used to do this in Italy. Like, it was, they covered in the stable, and it just, there's a bare light bulb, and she feels, you know, something's happened here. So it's resonant and filled with this sense of the past. I suppose you could say it's very haunted. Evelina's bedroom in the present day is still as it was, and her, I had to have, you know, her dresses, beautiful gowns are all hanging in the wardrobes, and her dressing table
Yes.
there with her old perfumes. And so she's absolutely kind of gobsmacked. She has no idea what her connection is to this place, why she's inherited it, and she sets about to find out. But there is a gardener working in the garden, and when she gets there, she's told that the owner has asked him to restore the garden, and of course she thinks she's the owner, so that sets her off.
Mhm.
But yeah, it is.
Right.
It's very much a character. You picked that up. That's me. As I say, yeah, I just walk into somewhere and I'm just sensing this history. It's been like that since I was a little girl. I love old buildings and old stories. Thank you,
I
Myra.
love that. And thank you for sharing that. And Myra says, intriguing. Sounds like my kind of book. Yes, Myra. I love that. I love that. And author Sharon Blunt, she said she got a one click. I love that. I love that as well. Now, Ella, of course, you know, we have to play a round of this or that, my friend. I promise you, there's no right or wrong answer because it is all things according to Ella Carey. Are you ready, my friend?
I am.
All right. First up, countryside or city? Countryside or city?
Oh, city for living, because that countryside for getting away and escaping.
Oh, nice. I like that. Yes, I like that. I
Mm.
like that. Okay, Ella, are we going on a plane ride or are we taking a road trip to the countryside?
We're probably going on a plane ride because I live in Australia.
Okay.
I want to come and see you. You know, I want to get. It's good for me to. It's wonderful, but it's a long way
Okay.
from a lot of places.
I love that. I love that. Okay, Ella, fall or spring? What say you?
Oh, fall, definitely. I love that sense of those beautiful golden leaves and the red leaves on the trees, and that that aching
Yes.
sense
Oh
of the
my
year
goodness. The
passing.
ambiance of it all.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yes, yes, I love it. And speaking of fall, are you pumpkin spice or apple cinnamon?
Apple cinnamon. Apple cinnamon. That was the
Ooh,
first thing that came. Yeah, I love apple and cinnamon, the combination. Yeah,
yes,
definitely.
yes, yes. And of course, Ella, we have to know here at the cafe. Can you remind the folks, are you team tea or are you team coffee?
Oh, I'm team tea. I love tea. So I drink tea all day. Yeah, I start with
I
my
love
beautiful
that.
cup of tea. Yeah,
I
so
love that.
definitely tea.
I love that. Thank you so much for playing around of this or that with us here at the cafe on today. And guys, of course, there is a giveaway on today, and I'm going to allow Ella Carey to tell you what her amazing giveaway is going to be on today.
So I have a copy of the book of Italian Secret, and I will sign it for you and get it in the post right away, because as you know, it's not quite yet published in the US, but will be very soon. So I'm very happy to send it anywhere in the world, and yeah, it'll be a very first edition of this book for you to keep.
I love it. Did y'all hear that? Okay, the first edition in print. You're getting a print autograph copy at that from Ella Carey herself. You're getting a print copy of An Italian Secret. And of course, Ella, what we're going to do, I am going to go up and down the comment section, and you, my friend, are going to tell me when to stop. And that person will be the winner of a print copy of, and I might as well say an autograph print copy of An Italian Secret. Okay, I am ready when you are.
Okay, you start and I'll stop.
Okay. Oh, you told me to stop. Okay, hold on. Here we are. Let's see. Ola Lawson, you are the winner of an autographed copy of An Italian Secret. If you will inbox me your information, I'll be sure to get that over to author Ella Carey so we can get you a copy of An Italian Secret. I love that. Congratulations. Congratulations. Okay, Ella, I know they are ready to hear. We just told them that it's available in print. It's available in ebook as well. How can they get their hands on a copy of this amazing, amazing story, An Italian Secret?
So the best place to go is to Amazon, and you can order your print copy, pre-order your print copy or your ebook. That way, in Australia, Dimmicks or Booktopia usually stock my books as well, and Barnes and Noble often do in the US as well. Just ordering it via their website too. So they're the best places. But I would, in the first instance, head to Amazon. And congratulations, Ola, too.
I love that. Yes, congratulations, Ola. And yes, as she said, guys, it is available on Amazon. It's available where books are sold, like Barnes and Nobles. You can go to their website as well. And Ella, of course, you have to share with us, my friend, how can we stay connected with you?
So the best place to do that is on my Ella Carey author Facebook page here on Facebook, because I post there regularly and I have a lovely community of readers who chat with me. So that's where I'll share little bits of information about the background behind my books, new releases, and so forth. And I also am on Instagram, so you can look me up at Ella Carey on Instagram, and also my website. I have a mailing list, so you can sign up for that, and I'll email through extra information about my books as well, and let you know when new releases are coming out. And my publishers, Bookouture, also have a mailing list, so they you can sign up to that as well if you'd like to know when my new books are coming out, and they will email you just when new releases come out as well.
I love that. I love that. There you have it, guys. You can stay connected with her on social media. You can also stay connected with her through her website, as she stated. You can sign up for her newsletter as well as her publisher, Bookouture. They also have a mailing list that you can sign up for as well. I love that. I love that. Well, Ella, it has been amazing hanging out with you again at the cafe. And thank you so much for coming back with us and talking about your new release, An Italian Secret. Guys, it is live and in color in the UK, and you just have a couple more hours if you're in the US. It will release on September the 22nd. As Ella stated, it's available in ebook as well as print copy as well. And we thank you guys for coming to hang out with us as well. Ella, I want to give you, my friend, the last words of what you want to say to the people.
I'd like to say thank you all so much for coming along and joining us today. I'm very excited about the launch of this book. It's wonderful to see you all, and thank you for coming. Thank you, Angela, for having me. It was lovely to see you again. It was really great to be back chatting with you, and it's so wonderful to be able to do this on publication day as well, or publication eve, which is perhaps even more exciting. So thank you so much for fitting me in, for coordinating that to happen today. It's been lovely chatting with you. Thank you.
I love it. And thank you too. I definitely appreciate you taking the time to come and hang out with us and give us an exclusive on An Italian Secret as well. That is our show on today. And we're so appreciative for Ella Carey coming and hanging out with us. And she spilled a little bit of tea as well. And of course, we will definitely put in the comment section a link of how you can order your copy of this book too. And be sure that once you read it, to leave a review. I know that author Ella Carey would be so appreciative of that as well. Of course, like, tag, and share if you have it. If you see it out in the wild, take a picture, tag her. When you get your copy, feel free to take a picture and tag her as well, and let her know how much you're enjoying An Italian Secret. Well, that's it for today. And as we always say, have an amazing day, because we're having an amazing day. And until next time, we'll see you later.
Thank you. Bye bye.